Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we've got ourselves our final mailbag until the draft is over. What? I'm back, and I got COVID-19. Justin, how you doing?
Hey, what an intro. Hey, Bobby Skinner, nice to have you back. Hope
Or
you enjoyed
C19. I don't feel like YouTube flagging. Remember they used to put guidelines on anytime you'd mentioned it?
Yeah. Hope that doesn't happen. Hope you had a good wedding week and your wedding weekend. I guess we'll talk about it at the end because we had our own recap. It was last week. It was last Monday/Tuesday that Danny King Grump and I talked about it. That felt like a long time ago.
I know, time's flying.
A lot has happened in the Giants world, but also nothing has happened at the same time, which is kind of unfortunate. So we pivot from Matthew Stafford, and now we have a mailbag on Aaron Rodgers and trading up to pick number 1 and all the craziness that's going on.
I had a look down my nose moment because I was at the Kennedy Space Center on Tuesday, and that was when the Joe Shane press conference was. And so I didn't watch the press conference, and then I checked Twitter while we're on some shuttle bus, going from the lunar lander place to the shuttle place, and I was like, man, you guys are lunatics. Just the reactions to press conferences, people losing their minds. I was like, man, this is nice. This is nice to not having me react to Joe Shane probably lying about everything and every moment and believing that he actually hasn't started studying the quarterbacks yet. Like people believe that when he says that. But no, it was a good week. It was cool to see you guys at the wedding. Perfect weather, by the way.
Beautiful.
That was nice. And Danny was right. Everyone that was visiting from a different country or state was like, why do you guys have so many cops here, and why is the speed limit so damn low? They've ruined it on the beach. It's these people who are bored, who have no jobs, or their significant other has a job and they need some purpose in their life. So they go to these council meetings, and the speed limit has just went down and down and down to where now, you gotta dial in to make sure you're not speeding on the beach. Justin, how was everything?
It was great. It was great. I'm sure maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more at the end, but I had a great time. Danny King pulls up in his Tesla, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna run Brevard County. I mean, he pulls up to me in Orlando. We're driving to Brevard County in Melbourne, and I'm like, we're gonna run this shit, and that's what we did. We ran it.
Danny and I do have a serious issue to deal with you later too. So let's a serious issue, which I'm just gonna have to go and I'm gonna have to take measures against this.
Did I steal the thunder from your wedding by Man I Feel Like a Woman? And now I think your mother filmed me.
All right, so let's cat's out of the bag. Yeah, my mother did film you
from beginning to end.
Yep, and I the only way I can counterpunch this is at your eventual wedding. I'm slow dancing with your mom. That's my only counterpunch is my mom filming you and saying she has a crush on the guy doing the Shania Twain dance.
Wow, did she even know who I was?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
So that's I'm just letting you know. Whenever
I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about you telling me at 2:08 p.m. on a Monday afternoon that you're gonna slow dance with my mother.
I'm slow dancing with Chrissy. It's just
okay.
It's happening.
All right, great.
So that's gonna be my counter punch. But
let's get away, Steve.
Let's get into this damn episode. Take it away, Steve.
Mail time. The mail's here. Come on. Bye, guys. Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes, I want to wail.
Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin. Let's get into the mail. And I'll announce some special people in a little bit.
Yeah, in a little bit. Maybe we'll take one of those breaks that we usually do. First question is coming from JN at Ranger1135. Is it a bad look to seemingly go all in on Stafford and then pivot to going all in on trading up to number 1? Isn't that plan A if they love a QB in the draft? Did Mara's postseason comments cause this scattered approach? And Bobby Skinner, before you go, I just have to say I'm dizzy. I'm getting a little dizzy.
So I know you're disappointed with the Stafford stuff. I definitely was, when I remember one of our most recent mailbags is like, what would get you most excited about the season? It's like a quarterback I could believe in. And even though I disagree with some we're going to talk about it, Matthew Stafford would have undoubtedly been probably made the most fun to be a Giants fan outside of the playoff year. And maybe even more so. But this is where again, I think they're desperate. I think they're flailing. They're looking for any way to get the most out of next year, and especially at the quarterback position. It is hard to sell me, Justin, that they went all out to get Matthew Stafford. Like they really tried. They offered him, $100 million guaranteed. We don't know, the picks, and not just like tried or like felt it out, Justin. There was times where the Giants, they thought they were going to get Matthew Stafford, right? Like I did a Matthew Stafford film breakdown because of people believe that they were going to get Matthew Stafford, 2 weeks ago.
Well, yeah, for the last couple of weeks.
And, I wasn't in on this unless Cam Ward was not an option, because then you trade for Stafford and he's your QB for the next 2 years. Maybe you're in a spot to get a QB you want next year or the year after, right? Like, I know it's a big swing that probably doesn't land you a Super Bowl, but I also don't subscribe to nothing matters until you take a QB with a top 5 pick, right? Like, I remember one of the points we laid out with the DJ contract was, we laid out the top 5 young QBs at the time were added to teams that had QBs they were paying. Alex Smith with Mahomes, Tyrod Taylor with Josh Allen, Joe Flacco with Lamar, Phillip Rivers with Justin Herbert, and Andy Dalton with Joe Burrow. Like, all those teams were paying quarterbacks when they were in the spot to take those quarterbacks. Now, Jaden Daniels is the new guy who bucks that, but still. But again, they didn't just explore the option of going after Matthew Stafford. They believed Matthew Stafford was going to be their QB. Like, that was their plan A. And like I said, if trading up is an option for the Giants, right? And, we're hearing this. I don't necessarily buy all this right now. I think a lot of people say a lot of things coming out of the combine. If trading up is an option, that has to be your plan A option, right? If you believe in a quarterback enough to trade up, that's the first option. That is the first option, is getting the franchise quarterback for the long term. Like, you'll be giving up assets to do that. So you can't also tell me, well, we also wanted to trade up for this quarterback, but we're also going to give up draft assets and $100 million of guaranteed money to the same position to keep that QB on the bench for 2 years. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's just not real life. Like, would it be sick to have a QB sit behind Stafford? Yes, but not enough to pick him over, other Super Bowl QBs with draft assets and way more money and commitment. Like, the value of Stafford over Russ Rodgers as a mentor, which, by the way, not even 100% sure he'd be a better mentor to those other guys. I think he'd just be here to play and not be a mentor, is not worth whatever you could add around the young QB with the extra money and draft picks. Not just offense, by the way, helps a young QB. Having a defense that doesn't make every mistake a quarterback makes a decider of the outcome of a game is actually really valuable. People use the Falcons. Like, the Falcons have wasted so much money, and they didn't even give up draft capital for Kirk Cousins. They ended up because of the tampering stuff. Or people bring up, like, the Packers with Jordan Love. Like, they had Aaron Rodgers for 15 years, and they took Jordan Love 26. It's not the same at all. So I was not in on the Stafford thing. It seemed extremely desperate, but I'm definitely not in on the Stafford thing if they were going to draft a quarterback. Just draft the quarterback. Get yourself a natural bridge QB like Russ, Fields, or Rodgers, or whatever, and add pieces around to help that quarterback succeed whenever he does play.
I think the question is really talking about, because I don't think that if they were going to trade for Stafford, I think between the picks that they would give up and also the money, I don't think that they were also going to draft a quarterback.
They wouldn't have. That's the thing.
So now the question becomes, and this is the question, is it a bad look to go all in on Stafford and then the ultimate pivot of going all in on a 37-year-old where you're giving up picks and a shit ton of guaranteed money? You're going to pivot to the absolute dichotomy of the young quarterback, and not just the young quarterback, but possibly even trading up for the young quarterback. So you're giving up assets to trade up. Now, here's the bad look of it all, Bobby. The bad look is, and I'm going to be very brief on this, and we don't need to spend too much time on this because this is what the months of December and January were for. Here's the bad look. John Merrick kept these guys. John Mara kept Brian Dable and Joe Shane. That's the bad look. And that's the resounding
He's encouraging them to be desperate, by the way.
That's the resounding tone that we got from both the Senior Bowl and then Jordan Ronan. I asked him, what's the tone of the Giants around the combine? And the first thing that he says is, everybody comes up to him and says, how did you keep these guys? How did you keep these guys? How do these guys still have their jobs? Because now it leads to what's happening right now is they are desperate. So is it a bad look that the Giants are taking swings at quarterback? No, not necessarily, because they've told us this. They have told us that we're going to take big swing after big swing at the quarterback position this offseason. So I can't even act surprised or shocked or even mad or disappointed, because honestly, Bobby, like, here's how I'm thinking of this now. The ending and the destination, it may make sense. Like, we may wind up with the quarterback room of Aaron Rodgers and Cam Ward, or maybe even just one of them, heading into next year, heading into this year. And I think, hey, it's like, all right, well, we're excited by that, and it's going to get people excited, whatever big swing they make at quarterback. But the journey getting there is just so bumpy because of how desperate they are. And I don't know if they have conviction in any of these things, because they just need something to work. The Giants need something to work. They need to get the big swing. They need Matthew Stafford on their team. They need Aaron Rodgers on their team. They need Cam Ward on their team desperately. Any one of those guys, or even multiple of them, because of the fact that their jobs are on the line and they're desperate. They need that. And that's the thing that sucks.
Yeah, they are desperate. And here's the thing is, I don't think they believe in either one of these quarterbacks in the first round, even though they may take one, because they showed us. Because, like, as much as people thought about, oh, well, they can get Stafford and get a quarterback in the draft, they weren't going to, or at least not in the first round. Like, they just, that was not going to happen, okay? They were not trading for Stafford and doing all that to also draft a quarterback in the first round. That was not going to happen. And I think that is indicative of how they feel about the quarterback. So now you're going to try and sell me, oh, well, we're actually going to trade up. No, they are desperate. Now, desperation can lead to, good results, right? If they get Cam Ward and Cam Ward's the shit, then hell yeah, that's awesome. Desperation led to a good result. But there is no denying. Everyone is pointing out they are desperate, and the fact that they believe they were going to get Matthew Stafford, and now they're going to try and pivot to getting a quarterback in the first round. Like, that doesn't show that they believe in that quarterback. It doesn't. We'll see. But I know you're disappointed on the Stafford thing, right?
I am, because I think Matthew Stafford's good, and I still think Matthew Stafford can be good. And when you compare him to the other options that are present, like even an Aaron Rodgers. Now the nice thing about Aaron Rodgers is he's going to be way cheaper. I think the Jets are going to wind up releasing him, and
the next question is Rodgers too.
Next question's Rodgers, so I guess we'll talk about that. I just thought that here's what it is, Bobby. I got excited about Matthew Stafford because it's almost like I'm a fish and I'm looking at the worm on the hook in the ocean, and or in the river, whatever. And I'm the fish, and there's that juicy old worm. It's right in front of my face, and just when I'm about to bite, the guy reeled in the line. That's honestly what it was, is that you dangled Matthew Stafford in front of my face for weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna get decently excited about that. And also, I still do believe that even though it would have been a lot of money, and you're also giving up resources for draft picks and stuff like that, I also genuinely do believe that I think money in the NFL can easily be moved, and money in the NFL, it's a lot easier to eat and move on from if a guy isn't good versus a draft pick. Let's just say if the Giants trade up for Cam Ward, well, then that's hurting next year, the next year Giants. It's hurting the Giants, whatever regime it may be, whether it's Joe Shane or not. It's hurting that next year's team that we're giving up assets for a quarterback that we're not even sure is that good, and we're not even sure that even this lame duck regime has a lot of conviction in.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, and that's why I said if they, okay, so let's say Cam Ward's going first,
and the Giants do not have the number 1 overall pick.
And they don't have the number 1 overall pick, which has been noted. Shout out the Colts game. I can't be like, well, just your plan for the year is Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Like, I'd be okay. I would have been okay. Obviously, We would have seen what the draft capital would have been, but I would have been okay with that decision. Because like I said, I am not this believer of just we've been bottling it out for 10 years. Okay, that does not lead to success. You look at the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Very rarely did they get to that team by the team totally bottoming out. Some of them were having some of their best success in 20 years. Shout out the Buffalo Bills. Even the Chiefs, that Alex Smith quarterback team with Andy Reid was the best consistent the Chiefs had been in 20 years. So I get that, but again, to say, all right, well, now our plan B is to trade up, to me is a little insane. By the way, the whole combine buzz is, and we were talking with somebody else this morning, man, people are really just out on Shedeur Sanders. I think that the media created him as a top 5 pick. In reality, he's never been a top 5 pick. And now there's people like, I don't think he's going in the top 20. And it's, I did my film on him. Got to get that film. I was going to have that film breakdown out by now, but the Giants decided to almost trade for Matthew Stafford, so I had to pivot to that. Check it out on the Bobby's Breakdown channel. To where now, we'll see. But nobody has told me that Shedeur Sanders is going in the top 5, and then there's been a bunch of people who coming out of the combine I don't think he's going in the top 20. But
I think the biggest thing from the Senior Bowl and even the combine is, Bobby, we've been waiting for somebody to come out and say something nice about Shedeur Sanders. We've been waiting for it. Finally got it 23 hours ago from Peter Schrager. Note from a conversation with an NFL front office member. One thing that's not being discussed enough is Sanders' toughness. Very few quarterbacks in college could have survived getting pressured and hit as much as he did, but he always got up and always made the big play. I think
his best thing is his accuracy.
I think toughness is really important. I think, in a way, and Bobby, hand up, I think we've talked about this before, where sometimes looking at the QBs that have imperfect situations are honestly better than looking at the QBs of Alabama or Ohio State that have the perfect situation, because you're not going to have a perfect situation in the NFL. But still, over the last 2 months, this is the best thing that I've seen any significant media member tweet about Shedeur Sanders. And if toughness is the thing that you're hanging your hat on, I don't think that's the best thing to hang your hat on.
I think his best thing is accuracy, but I agree with the larger point that you're making, where it's again, I don't see a top 5 player.
Yeah, take away my evaluation and my thoughts and everything like that. I'm waiting for draft people, and I'm waiting to see something wow, look, I think Shedeur Sanders can be good. I'm waiting for it, and I don't follow everybody in the world. I just haven't seen it. I have not.
Yep. All right, before we get into our next question, Justin, this episode is brought to you by some special pay. We got KJ. Is this KJ Cloyd, the guy who had all the tackles in that preseason game? Mm-hmm. Paul Rocha, he's got a roach in his ashtray. Jacob Hitchcock, or not, Jacob Unlatchwiener. Connor Donahue, one of my, friends in high school, Danny Donahue, was a moron. Booger McSizzles, your name's already a joke. Colin Badgley, he's the Badgley. Trevor Hawk. I'm not gonna do the joke that everyone wants to say with Trevor Hawk. How about Trevor Hawkinson?
Tua.
And then that's it, Justin. Who are these special people?
That's it. Tua, Hawk. These wonderful people went to patreon.com/Talking Giants for $2 a month, plus some other tiers. You can hang out with us live while we record the shows. The pet chat is going crazy over Bobby Skinner saying he wants to slow dance with my mother. Very intimate. Very, very intimate. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit more.
You brought this upon yourself.
I brought it upon myself. Bobby will send you some stickers in the mail. Plus, there's some shirt raffles. Patreon.com/Talking Giants. Thank you so much to our wonderful, wonderful patrons. Be glad you did.
Be glad you did. All right, next question.
NY Giants Muse at Giants NY Muse. Opinion on getting Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers that is, and Devontae Adams, and picking one of the top 2 QBs to sit for a year behind Rodgers. So that's the new thought. That's where we pivot.
Well, yeah, I mean, as soon as the Stafford stuff was announced, it was we love Aaron Rodgers.
Now, here's the thing: is
I went back and even looked at our January mailbag, and I was like, maybe you go after Rodgers if you don't plan to draft a quarterback in the first round. I'm not against Rodgers. We have no clue how much money Rodgers will command, but we know nobody is signing him to like take them to the promised land, so that obviously is going to lower his market. I watched a lot of Rodgers this past year, and it certainly wasn't that good. He couldn't move as well. The offense was kind of a mess, partly due to him and his installation of Nate Hackett as an OC, and then making the coach change to Todd Downing. It's very like stationary offense, tight window throws by Rodgers. But I don't hate Rodgers in this situation. Like he has seemed to be taking on the role of helping the young QB, whether it was Jordan Love or Zach Wilson. Like he seemed to embrace that. Now, obviously, there's a lot of me with doing weekly spots with McAfee, which creates bullshit, taking shots in the media at coaches or players. The whole idea that he was going to come back in season of 2023 and practicing, like that was a distraction for them. Now, the off-field political stuff I don't care about. He's a 1-year vet, and just the negatives I see for him are just to me they're not enough to stop me from doing a 1-year deal. Like, oh well, Garrett Wilson had issues with him. Neighbors may, have issues with him. Like, okay, I'd be a little okay with some friction there. Like line up, neighbors, get in the right spot, know where you're supposed to be. Like, I'd love the quarterback to ask for more out of the best player on the Giants offense. Ask for more out of him. Now, this is where you get into a little dangerous territory. You can't let Rodgers dictate who's coming with him. But if he's only dictating one person to come with him, and it's Devontae Adams, I'm also like okay with that. If he's asking for Alan Lazard or Randall Cobb or Nate Hackett, hell no, dude, you're not coming here. But if it's Devontae Adams, I can be sold on that. Like, to me, this is the type of signing you do to either last the year without drafting a quarterback or to bridge to a rookie QB. I think he's better than Russ or Cousins. Fields may be getting out of market for a quarterback who was benched for another quarterback that's not that good. So the expectation is not the promised land. The biggest expectation would be getting through a year with above average QB play and not getting to like level 1 drama.
Yeah, dude, it's so complicated because Aaron Rodgers automatically is the best quarterback probably since Eli in 2015, Eli in 2014, right?
Yeah.
Eli in 2016 declines, Eli 2017 declines, and then you have, everything like that. So, we're talking about almost a decade of a guy that stands back there and you think that he can make any kind of throw, and
okay, Stafford's out of the deal. Now the Giants will be signing a veteran quarterback in free agency.
Right.
Like, rank your wants based on what you would think they're like, and all, contract included.
My wants, because
there's
I think Darnold is a part of this too.
Please do not give Sam Darnold a big contract. I will lose my fucking mind if they give Sam Darnold a big contract.
But it's Cousins who may even stay in Atlanta because the Falcons would have to cut Cousins, and that would just be. It already is that is a nightmare. That is a nightmare.
Oh yeah, great decision, Atlanta.
I really think. Are there Falcons fans that are defending that? Because, if I'm a Falcons fan, I'm slamming my head against the table being like...
the only people defending that are just so obsessed with quarterback that no matter what route to getting a quarterback that you believe in, it's just like, well, that's the right route. That's the only people defending that.
They're $5 million in the red right now in cap space. And
there'll be more in the red if they cut Cousins.
Right, they're going to be more. So I think they have to... They're $5 million in the red with the quarterback on a rookie deal. It's a fucking disaster.
They should keep Cousins as the backup.
I think they should with the $40 million cap hit this year. Anyway,
as stupid as it looks, they should keep Cousins as the backup.
But still, like, why I'm hesitating here? Rodgers, it just makes the most sense because they don't. I don't think they view the veteran, right. I don't think they view the veteran with success in this league as Jameis Winston. I don't think
Jameis Winston sucks, dude. I'm so tired of all Jameis Winston is fun if he's not on your team. Ask anyone he's been the quarterback of their team, and they say it's not fun. Okay, it's the quotes and stuff are all great and wonderful, and maybe fun in the last 5 games of a lost season and a little spark like Tommy DeVito was fun. But him to actually be your quarterback is not fun.
But Jameis Winston, when you draft a quarterback at either pick 1 when you trade up or pick 3, is fine because you're gonna play that rookie, or you play Jameis for the first 3-4 weeks of the season,
correct,
and then you move on. But I don't think that's where Joe Schoen is right now. I think what he not only does he want a bigger swing at veteran, but maybe even adding the rookie quarterback to that. But still, if it's about 2025, right? If this is about 2025 and adding a quarterback, and I think Jordan referred to this, and maybe even Shane referred to it in his presser too. I tried rewatching clips and I couldn't find it. But if Joe Schoen dropped that line of we want to bring in a quarterback that makes 2025 matter, then right now, like we're cutting down the options and we're getting slim pickings here. Rodgers is that guy that is best, and then my brain goes to pick 3 of Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is not going to make Aaron Rodgers better in 2025. It's a Travis Hunter or a Abdul Carter will help make the New York Football Giants better in 2025 matter more, and therefore help Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll save their jobs more.
Rodgers is the best fit for if you just want him to be the quarterback for next year. But I also think he may be the best bridge to a rookie. Now, you could argue Russ, because Russ is not going to bring the drama that Rodgers brings, right? But I do think Rodgers is a better quarterback to teach.
He's so much better than Russ. So much better.
But Russ can, help, teach you to be a pro. And Russ has had a lot of success in the NFL. There's no slouch at that either. And the only other argument is I could see is Justin Fields. But I think Justin Fields, he's going to get a little bit of a Sam Darnold bump of, he may get a bigger contract than you realize, even though the fact that he got benched last year and may get a better because he's young, he's talented, and he could be like the reclamation project where that's really not out there unless you want to say Daniel Jones. So if you ask me of what quarterback I want in free agency, it is Aaron Rodgers. Now, if Russ with the rookie QB, cool. Justin Fields with the rookie QB, cool. But I would prefer Rodgers to them. I think he's better. I think another year off the Achilles. I know it's a year older and 41. It's not great. But again, my expectation is not the promised land. It's get through a year with above average QB play and let the drama just be somewhat limited. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, just cut out the drama. There's going to be drama. There's going to be annoying times with Aaron Rodgers. But just keep it limited to stupid shit like missing minicamp or whatever.
Yeah. I would hope that he would come in here and be driven, because, dude, the last 2 years, I mean, you going from, Super Bowl aspirations of we can cement Aaron Rodgers' legacy as one of the greats to he's still going to go down as one of the greats, but certainly his legacy is different now. It's different now. So going out on top and staying in the same city, it would be cool. And in terms of bringing Davante Adams, I think that's also really cool because it fixes a problem that we've been talking about, and that I actually am worried about. I am worried about a lack of a veteran presence on this offense and a lack of a veteran presence, especially in that wide receiver room where, we're talking about, the Giants may take a Jack Betch in the second round as a way to oh my God, well, we desperately just need an outside wide receiver. And that rookie wouldn't even be a leader per se, but it's just, we just need a body out there because there's nothing. And you maybe don't want to unnecessarily spend on some of these other free agent wide receivers that are out there now that are older and shit like that. So honestly, bringing in Adams with Rodgers would be all right, I feel really good about the wide receiver room and we move forward.
Well, he's the old guy that makes the most sense for when you're looking into if you're trying to bring in a receiver. I think if you're not bringing back Darius Slayton, he's the one. Again, maybe these contracts are bigger than what we expect. Do you expect Davante Adams to get anything more than a 1-year deal?
Maybe it's 2 years, but it's actually 1. So
I don't expect him to get anything more than a 1-year deal. Now, we can sit here on a podcast a week before free agency and be like, oh, get him on a decent deal, and then you get blown away and like, okay, that's not real life. But like again, I think it's worth entertaining more so than the other group of older receivers that are, at probably the top of the receiver market a week from today. So
I think
I'd be fine with Rodgers. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it's going to be awesome, it's going to be sick. We'll jokingly share fucking highlights from 2015 and stuff, but like, I'd be 100% okay with that. I think it's actually a better decision than bringing in Stafford.
Yeah, because it's not as cheap and you're not giving up picks. I think he's getting at least $25 million though.
Rodgers?
Yeah, Geno's getting 25. So Geno's at 25
he's 41
right now,
and he's got so much baggage at this point.
Geno's getting 25, and then there's the drop off to Gardner Minshew, who's getting 12.5. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be like, all right, you can pay me as the number 32, as not the number 32 starter, but you know what I mean, as like the starter that's getting the least amount of average annual value in Geno Smith and the Seahawks at 25. And then Baker's up there with 33, Derek Carr's up there with 37, and Rodgers' contract right now is 37.5.
Yeah. It just depends on what is Rodgers' mark, like who else is going to go after Rodgers?
It's not going to be the Rams.
I don't think it's Pittsburgh.
Vikings, no.
Vikings, no.
You would think no.
Let's do
the Raiders. The Giants and the Raiders have been lockstep with each other, wanting Stafford.
I agree. I think the Raiders is probably your competition, but I'm going to go through division by division right now.
But if Devontae
maybe
Adams
the 49ers get a little funky and surprise us.
Oh boy. They did want Brady, but even if let's just say Devontae Adams is one of the team. No, I don't see him fucking going there. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are a package deal. It would just be cool if they could just move buildings that are 25 minutes apart from each other instead of. I don't know. Maybe Adams' family is still in Vegas and they fucking go back. I don't know.
He's got a Taco Bell in his house, dude.
He does have a Taco Bell in his house.
He doesn't need to find where Taco Bell is because he already knows where it is.
Yeah. I'm just so numb. Like, I don't agree with it.
Okay, but tell me. I think maybe you already answered this. Okay, let's say Rodgers signs with Newsmax. Who do you want to be the Giants quarterback they bring in free agency?
Yeah, man, and then it gets bad.
Like, give me an answer though.
Because then it's Winston or Fields.
Okay.
And that is not the veteran big swing. That is not or I shouldn't even say veteran big swing. Because then Joe Shane would pitch the big swing at quarterback being the rookie quarterback that they get in the draft, right? Which, oh my God, if they don't have pick number 1 after free agency and they don't land Rodgers, oh holy shit, is the cost of that pick gonna go up even more? So I'm just resounded to the fact that they're going to make a veteran big move, and that's going to be Rodgers. And I'm not going to hate it. It's just that I don't love it.
I'll be a tad bit excited for it.
Yeah, I'll get excited too in training camp. And I think there's positives and negatives. Where the positives is that Aaron Rodgers can still make a lot of throws, and he's like I said, I think he would be the best quarterback that we've had since 2015 Eli Manning. There's a lot of reasons to get excited, but also. Like you have to question his body, and his movement, his mobility. Yeah. Understand it's coming off the Achilles last year, but that was a big reason why the Jets and that offense. You kind of looked at it, be like, oh, this doesn't look right. I'm really glad that he found his footing in December and January, but what good does a quarterback finding his footing in December, January do for anybody? I'm really glad Drew Lock found his footing against the Colts. So, yeah. We'll see how it unfolds, and I'll get more thoughts together as it unfolds.
We're a week away. Are you going to do the line? The Giants are going to get better. We're going to be better tomorrow than when they were.
No, I may retire that for this year.
All right, next question.
I may retire. Good morning. The New York Football Giants are going to improve as a football team today. Is a line that I usually tweet out before free agency and usually before the draft. I may retire that this year. I may use that line for the 53-man cutdown day this year. Good morning. The Giants will get better today. Tony, how do we say it? Tony, how about this? At Tony D394. Sorry, I don't know how to say your last name. Looks like you're a pizza person. Do you think the Titans would trade the first pick for pick 3, 2026 first, and the chance to read an ad? Oh boy, I hope it wouldn't cost that much. But how about this? Factor. Are you ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating, well, easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great. No matter what life throws at you, Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus is my favorite, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. I love Factor. I love Factor so much. It's the giant factor in my life, and I want you to add Factor to your routine as well. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's one word. Code FACTORPODCAST at factormeals.com/factorpodcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. You will be glad you did.
I'll be glad you did. Next question.
Next question is coming from Wes Locke at Westy Westigles. Nice to hear from you, Wes. What are your expectations for the first couple days of free agency? What positions need/will be addressed, and do you think there is any sneaky surprises of a possible position they sign?
Outside of quarterback, what do you think is the biggest contract given out?
Outside of cornerback?
Quarterback, the guy who throws the ball.
Quarterback. Oh. It's going to be either cornerback or interior offensive line, right? And I
could
would
be
guess,
defensive tackle, even though I don't think it will be.
I mean, I don't know if I love the names there, right?
But are they going to make interior offensive line their biggest contract for the third time?
I think it's corner.
Fourth?
I think it's corner.
I think so too. You got some names there at the top, so you may not have to be the top of the market. But I see them attacking corner, interior offensive line, and defensive tackle. But again, interior offensive line, like, we've seen them not take it serious before. They can be like, hey, we have Runyon. We believe in JMS. And, whatever, get a $4 million guard and say, maybe we'll draft at this position too. Here's what I'm looking forward to seeing. Will anyone, and that could be the Giants, copycat the Commanders? Right? Where the Giants, Joe Shane MO has been like sign 3 bigger contracts and then fill the rest with minimum deals. Will anybody go and sign, 8 $3 to $7 million contracts? Like, the Commanders last year got Biotic, which was their big one. Then you get Ertz, Wagner, Luvu, Chin, Fowler, Armstrong, Eckler, Algretti, Lucas, and Olamide Zacchaeus. Like, and then they, drafted 2 players in the second round who weren't even starters for them at that point. Like, will there be a team or the Giants who, instead of looking to, get, all right, let's give out 3 bigger contracts and then fill the gaps, will they go maybe pay whatever quarterback we're going to get and let's go and try and build an identity on defense with where we're at?
So this was a pretty somewhat significant nugget coming from Ronan during the last pod. He kind of just dropped in there. Looks like Jason Pinnock may not be back, which I thought that was kind of like, it makes sense just to bring him back. You can get him for really cheap and he could be a starter. And then the Giants could maybe go this offseason without adding anybody at safety and be okay. But now, without Pinnock, that is another position of need that they will need to address and fill.
It'd be crazy if they don't bring back Slayton, Aziz, or Pinnock. Where it's just like, we're not bringing back anybody.
I don't think it'd be crazy because it's not like any of these guys are.
But to not bring back a single pending free agent that is worth more than a minimum contract. And I don't really want Aziz back.
Pinnock would be the one that you would scratch your head at the most at.
Well, just because it makes so much sense. Like,
Yeah, because Pinnock shouldn't stop you from, if you really want to add another starter, even if you want to sign a free agent.
dude, you trade up into the first round and draft a safety, you can still sign Pinnock.
Yeah, Pinnock shouldn't stop you from doing that. So I don't understand why, unless you just, I don't know, are there any hard feelings between the two? I don't think so. So
Yeah, if there's any guy that should have good feelings about this regime, it is Jason Pinnock.
yeah, because he's played.
So we'll see there. But do you have like any names? Like, I'm not going into this free agent outside the quarterback position, going into this free agent with like a particular name in mind, or like that's the guy that I want.
I really do want DJ Reed. I know he's a little shorter, but
Worry you that he's a corner too. He's played with good pass rush.
But he has cornerback one metrics. Some of his stuff is really good, and I mean the Jets system isn't a system that Sauce Gardner didn't follow people.
Yeah, but a lot of times when the other team matched up the wide receiver one against him, they would at times burn him, and the Sauce Gardner would get tweeted at, and then he'd cry like, "Let me follow the wide receiver one."
Yeah, so I just think DJ Reed's. Have I watched the film, bro? No. But I've seen certain metrics. I've seen certain charts that chart like, hey, catch point stuff, yards allowed, shit like that. And DJ Reed's at the top of a lot of that shit. Like he's right there with Sauce Gardner. So
Right.
I'm all for it.
All right. Next question.
Next question. Coming from Michael at AP Skirbo. With Darius Slayton likely not to resign, what veteran receiver would you like to see the Giants bring in to that very young wide receiver room?
I looked at the pending free agents, and again, this is a tough question because there's not a good answer. Unless you're going to go for the older, like if you want to improve the position, you're going to have to get a 30-year-old. A 30-plus-year-old, like Cooper or Diggs.
And as we're filming this, by the way, this doesn't mean that he's going to be a Bengal, but the Bengals did franchise tag T. Higgins for the second time.
The Giants should not be in the T. Higgins market. It'd be fucking insane.
Just wanted to point that out.
So it's either like to upgrade the position, you're gonna have to get someone that's 30+ years old, because there's no other upgrades out there that are in their 20s. To Slayton, and then are they going to use like a draft pick in the first 3 rounds on the wide receiver position? I don't forecast that when they've done it in 3 of their 3 first drafts they've done that. Would they do it a 4th time? I'm not so sure on that. I don't know. I think it becomes a huge question mark for them, and it is a need. Like I think it's more valuable than people want to let on, unless you get a legitimately great quarterback. But Adams is the group of the old guys that I would actually be down for. Cooper, maybe because Cooper had a bad season last year, his contract isn't as highly touted as we would have thought 1 year ago, Justin. But Diggs, I don't want to touch at that age, coming off the injury. I don't. This is a tough one. Maybe De'Ami Brown. Maybe full circle. I get De'Ami Brown coming off of his amazing playoff performance on the New York Giants.
DJ Chark, Nelson Aguilar.
No, stop that.
No, I'm just saying, like these are the names that without. Oh, who did I think Jordan mentioned like Brandon Cooks, which man,
again, he's 32 years old.
That would not be
32 years old and oft injured.
That would not be fun. That's why the Rodgers and Devontae Adams combo and package, just like I kind of just. I put my hands together, good work. Two birds, one stone. Shout out PETA.
But who's your prediction on the Giants starting wide receiver outside of Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson?
I don't know.
Actually, you know what? I'll say draft guy older than Darius Slayton. Guy cheaper than Darius Slayton or Jalen Hyatt. I give you 4 options. I might make this a poll.
Guy older than Darius Slayton.
That's your prediction.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
I'm going to say guy cheaper than Darius Slayton. That's a great poll question. I'm going to put it out right now.
That is a very good poll question.
Who will be the Giants' second
Tyler Boyd.
outside? He's a old
slot. Matt Collins.
Draft pick.
Buffalo.
Jalen
Matt Collins.
Hyatt. Guy.
Ashton
older
Doolin.
than Slayton. Cheaper than Slayton.
Nick Westbrook-Ikine had a lot of touchdowns last year.
Yeah, he did.
Rondale Moore. Let's just get all the short guys. DeMarcus Robinson.
That's the one everyone's going to say, but it's like, do you really want DeMarcus Robinson as your starting wide receiver?
No.
He was, I remember Matt Lombardo was like, he's going to end up being on the Giants in 2020 or whatever it was.
Ah. I thought about him recently. I was at the Senior Bowl and I'm like, where is he?
He just fell off.
He's not on Twitter anymore.
He's not?
No, I tried looking him up. I hope you're doing all right, Matt Lombardo.
Yeah. I don't think about you that often. I did today, though. I did today, and Justin did the other day. All right, Justin, you got anything else before we roll?
No. Your wedding was great.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was a great time. I thought everyone, had a decent time. Got to, talk. I wanted to spend time with everybody. So naturally, spend time with family. So I went out with you guys the night before, and a couple other friends. Or one of my friends showed up at the top of a bar with his dog. He's like, my dog's sick, I'll be back, and then never came back.
Sure.
So it was
that's why that dog was there?
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing with your dog here? He's like, he's sick. He's like, I'll be right back.
Okay. Never came back.
Didn't see him after that.
You got emotional.
Oh yeah, of course.
Side of you I've never seen.
People see me emotional.
I've never seen you that emotional.
That's true. My mom's speech just killed me. Where
Yeah.
it's like, my mom's like, I'm not going to try not to cry while she's crying. And it's like, great.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Now I'm going to start crying.
All right, but I got to go back to your proposition that you posed at the beginning of the show.
It's not a proposition. I'm just telling you my move.
Me dancing. I didn't dance with your mom.
I know. I have to one up.
She just filmed me.
I have to one up you.
So that's a drastic one up.
I know. It's just maybe it's a warning to next time don't do things like that.
Can I tell you what?
But you did have so many cameras on. I got like 5 different, like you mentioned, like the angle. I had like, we had like 5 different people record video of that.
Well, listen,
has Danny posted the picture with the family from Mobile, Alabama since then?
I think I post or you post. Somebody posted.
We need to see it in
took
LA.
a picture. All right, yeah, he's got to post it where he has that posted up.
Another tweet.
I need to tell you something really selfish and egotistical that I had prepared.
Okay.
For whatever reason in my head, and I like to sometimes do this. I knew there was no chance that I would be asked to speak. Like less than a 0% chance would I have gotten up and spoken in front of your wedding. But I did prepare something.
You did?
Well, not written down, but hey, this ain't my first rodeo having to get up and talk. So I prepared what would I say?
Did you prepare something or did you think in your head of what you would say?
I thought, both. I thought of in my head what I would say, and it would go something along the lines of, because I've thought in my brain, how many thousands of hours have we talked over the since 2019, since we met. I'm probably over 100,000 hours that we've spoken on the phone, podcasts, whatever, over 100,000 hours. And I would have gone on with the whole, 100,000 hours. Have you, how often, how much, how can you, what was the whole thing? How many people in your life can you say that you've spoken that amount of time to? And I would have went on like that. It's very egotistical of me to prepare that. You're muted.
That's true. My friend, the dog guy, he was my best friend for a long time, and then you're still my friend, but you just life changes.
Yeah.
He was feeling it pretty good, and he's like, I think I'm going to do a speech. I was like, do it. Go ask him for the microphone. He never did that. Oh, the shot from my pastor, you guys mischaracterized it a little bit, even though it was a shot of the Giants. He said there's no perfect marriage. For example, you guys are both Giants fans. But that
was a shot
good.
of the Giants.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was.
You can't escape
and
it.
I got accused of Jameis Winsoning the garter toss, which I did. But there was a reason for that. It's because I was targeting a specific individual, my friend Juan. And there was two options because he was hanging around the back because he didn't want to catch it.
Yeah.
There was fire that bitch in, try and split a couple defenders, or just throw it behind him. And so I went with the throw it behind him. And then some, 20-year-old dude who has like a girlfriend got it. And it's like, all right, well, that was meant for Juan. But
you did say, I remember hearing you scream, "Where's Juan?" before you threw it.
Yeah, I was like, there was two options, like fire that bitch in and have the chance of everyone getting out of the way and knocking out Aunt Kathy, or just soft toss it above everyone else, and hopefully Juan is the guy who gets it in a fumble drill.
Yep.
So that was good. Also, I want to give myself credit because you stupidly gave me the address of your Airbnb, which is like down the street from my brother's house, and we were really considering going in, like, firecracker bombing like that house. Like, just put a roll of firecrackers.
Oh my God, there's a cat that lives out there. You would have killed the cat.
No, the cats know to be ready. But yeah, I think there was I think that was it. But yeah, I was having the same complaints about the cops and the speed limits beachside. They have dropped them drastically. They've added more lights. They've added they've all these crosswalks. It is impossible. Like,
oh my
you
God,
have
we
to
were
be
also
laser focused to not speed on A1A and Brevard
we were also
County
driving on the highway. They got fucking poles that go in the middle of the road.
Yeah, that's A1A. That's the A1. There's a famous highway that goes up the beach line. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I have videos of my brother like hitting those and stuff because it's funny. But yeah, it's ridiculous. Like it gets me fed up every time I have to like drive on that for more than 15 minutes. Because like it's like you it's impossible, and they'll pull you over. Like, I get pulled over for doing 8 over, and it's like, this speed limit used to be 45, and now you are pulling me over for doing 43 here. In Cocoa Beach, you can see they literally just nailed zeros over top of like a 35 sign. So yeah, but it was good. It was good. Got sick, but accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish before getting sick. So we're good.
And one more thing. I thought this was really cute. You and your wife had a time capsule where you put letters in. You're going to read it 10 years from now.
Yes, great. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. We put pictures from like this year and stuff like that. And
you put a Talking Giants sticker in it, which I love.
That wasn't even my idea. That was her idea when we were like putting together
awesome.
a bag full of stuff. Which it would have been very funny if you put your card in that bag. Which now looking back, I was like, that definitely seems like a put a card in this bag type of bag.
It was very close to putting my, wedding card in that bag. Yeah, very close.
But yeah, got blessed with the weather because we did the rehearsal and it was just cloudy, so windy, like, and cold, and like and then the day after it's like it's gonna rain all day, and we got 70 and sun. So it was fun. So
good time.
All right, that's an episode. Back Friday with a free agency preview. Probably won't touch too much on the quarterback since we did that all today. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.